I am convinced more and more every day, and today was just another one of those days that even though I was already set to have this be the topic for my podcast, the meetings that we had in the morning just were like, it was like giant confirmation, the value of this, now more than ever in today's world, of finding who you are. I've kind of woven through this topic many times, and I've mentioned in the past our project that is our love project that keeps evolving, Seek, Find You. But it all hinges on the importance of self-discovery, and it's never too early and it's never too late. Like, I love that we get to be around young people. I think sometimes they get a bad rap for not having a sense of things, or people will say they're entitled or not hardworking. And, you know, honestly, for the most part, our experience is completely different. And in the two conversations that we had today, the importance of both of them, one was male, one was female, finding, one was one of our models and one was not. It was just a young person that we see a lot of talent in. And having conversations with them of them being in the process of self-discovery and finding out what makes them click and what their passion is, and then maybe that leads to something else. And that was another part of the conversation, that it doesn't have to be this clear path that this is who I am and this is what I do. And that also comes back to the full circle that it's never too late. It's never too late to evolve into more of who you're meant to be. It's never too late to pick up a passion that maybe you had and life got in the way for a little minute and you had to step away. It's never too late to pick that back up. We have such a sense in this year of 2019, I can't believe it's only March, because in this year we've experienced a lot. The birth of what would be our third grandchild, and then exactly 1 month later, the birth of our fourth grandchild, and we threw in Fashion Week in the middle of it, and now we're back. But intentionally during that time, I was reading a lot, journaling a lot, really honestly trying to listen for what our journey continues to be. We love what we do and we're going to continue to do what we do, but we're realizing the mission of Mother is broadening, which is really great. I have to have a drink of water. And with that, new evolutions, new things, but definitely at the core of it, it's about discovery. It's about not just discovery of talent within the modeling world, but beyond. It's expanding on how to nurture that. Since we've moved into the city, we've lived in Midtown now for 2 years. When we hold open calls, we're finding a whole different level of creative talent, artistic young people that cross our paths, that we feel an obligation, a responsibility to help them fan the flames of whatever those talents and abilities are, and do all that we can nurture to make it happen. We'll be sharing more of that as we go on this journey of 2019, but my words for 2019 is birth and breakthrough, and we've had a lot of birth in the literal sense, but we're also birthing new things within our business world, and breakthrough. Sometimes you'll have something that you're working on for a long time, or we'll have a model that we've been developing over a period of time, and then it comes to that time of the next level for what they have, or within our relationship, my relationship with Jeff, the things that we continue to discover about ourselves. We'll be celebrating our 20-year wedding anniversary in August, and at the same time our family is growing, and not just in the literal birthing sense, but also within our children, adult children, seeing them find who they are and what they're meant to be and how that can evolve is so beautiful. The conversation that I had regarding a guy that we sat with today, I was so impressed with his thoughtfulness. This is somebody who's been in our life for 2 years. He was raised in what I would define as kind of challenging circumstances, and we've watched him in those 2 years work hard to achieve goals, and he could get to that physical place, but it was really refreshing. He was like, I want to sit down and talk to you guys. And basically the long story short of what was shared was the personal evolution that was taking place in this young man's heart. And I told him I was so impressed with this. He had taken the time in his life to evaluate what was working and what wasn't working. He looked at some things that were just habits that had been in his life, in his case for over a decade, and just one day deciding, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And what it's done to his emotional well-being, his physical body, his mental place. And he had the fortitude and the thoughtfulness and the self-discipline to say, I'm going to take a little minute, I'm going to continue to build and grow and nurture this time in my life where I'm really learning a lot about myself. And I'm going to take a little minute and have that be the focus and work before he continues to pursue this bigger goal. And I said to him, first of all, so proud of you. But I also said, we both did, that there are people that never in their lifetime take the time to jump off the roller coaster and evaluate and allow themselves time of self-discovery to determine, am I going on the path that I want to, or would it be smart for me to reevaluate? What are the components that could change where I'm at and where I'm going? He did some really simple things, which I thought were really great. He talked about his phone. He said, I realized he had gotten up to the point where significant time on the phone, where you can track it now, and he was sharing, he was on the phone a lot, which is not unusual and not rare. And I don't want to say just for that, a millennial. I think a lot of people, we can get caught up in that, and how he purposefully removed himself. He took himself off social media with the exception of one platform. He talked about communication and how he didn't want to have this conversation with us in a text format, and he didn't even want it to be on the phone. He wanted it to be face-to-face. And he talked about how people aren't good communicators and that communication is becoming a lost art. And I thought it was so refreshing to have this coming out of a 21-year-old guy's mouth. So refreshing. He talked about the value of how you start your day, and Jeff and I shared how we've become more intentional. I've talked about this on the podcast, that my old habit was to get up, turn on Good Morning America, and sometimes that, more often than not, it was sad. They open with the sad news, and rather than do that, to start and feed myself first, feed myself reading my devotional, journaling, having quiet time. And he had said that he had done the same thing with his life and was really starting his day, not grabbing his phone right from the very minute that he woke up, but having some intention in his life. And he also talked about choosing who he was spending time with. Being able to look, this is not a healthy situation, or this is, and really deciding that this was going to be different. And what you could see in his face, it was a literal physical transformation. There was a spark in his eyes. He was way more communicative than I've ever seen him before. He was smiling and laughing and so proud. And I said to him, because sadly it's the truth, that there are people that spend their whole life not doing that. And it's just part of that self-discovery, part of getting back to yourself. Seek, find you, find those things and allow them to happen in your life, allow them to manifest in your life. I saw on social media, I loved this, I follow Joanna Gaines, who everybody in the world loves, Fixer Upper, and what they've built within the Magnolia brand. And they had at their, I can't remember what it's called, the silos maybe? It's where I think they have like events there and everything, and they had a wall where people could get pictures taken. It's become such a tourist attraction, and on it they have this quote, "The world needs who you were made to be." I'm like, that's so true. The world needs who you were made to be. You were made to be uniquely yourself. And in a world that is so wrought with comparison, and social media can start to really mess with your head, I think it's so valuable to remind yourself that the world needs who you were made to be. Another quote that is so true is, "You don't know what you don't know." And it was cool also to have within the confines of this conversation what our relationship with this 2-year relationship had done in his young life. It opened his eyes. He started to know more about things that he didn't know before. And even within the confines of that, as we're managing a model or as we're pursuing things, there's a limited capacity to what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So the value of surrounding yourself with people, with mentors, or it could be a mentor that can speak into your life and help you to have a better understanding of something. But there's also responsibility on your part that should be something that is an intention and an activity that becomes a really important aspect of coming to yourself and discovering who you were meant to be. Not being an autopilot. So many people in today's world, it's so easy to get an autopilot. This is what my day looks like. I wake up, I do X, Y, Z. For the most part, this is what happens. Then at night, I do this. Here's the people who I surround myself with. And it can be this very limited scope. In today's world, the beautiful thing about your phone is that you can listen to podcasts. There's so much information that if you choose to, you can feed your soul and fuel your ambition. And if you just became intentional with that, even if you tried a 30-day, I'm going to shift what I'm doing, I'm going to shift how I'm starting my day, it can have a profound effect literally on the rest of your life, because it lays the foundation for so much more. Last but not least, something that we talk about a lot in our business is getting ahead of yourself. Slow down. Don't get ahead of yourself. Be present. Be in what's happening in your life. Don't let it define you, because that can be very limiting. But it can be a catalyst for other great things. Even though his circumstance hadn't changed, he'd changed his perspective. And the young girl that we spoke to today, too, who we just think is so fantastic, shared a lot. I know that there's so much more that she can share, but she shared a little hint of the struggles that she's had. But she said what's changed is her perspective. Whether you're a teenager or somewhere in the middle, or you're at a point like us where we're like, hey, what's the next thing? And you're still passionate about all of what's ahead. The reality is perspective is everything. And the most important thing that you can do is take the time to discover who you are meant to be, because the world needs you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next Monday. Make it a great week.